Hey everybody, Barry Greene here from Barry Greene Video Lessons, doing a live stream on YouTube, YouTube Live. So thanks for being here, and I hope you enjoy whatever ends up happening here. It's pretty much an open forum. You know, I'll play a few tunes. You guys can ask some questions or say a bunch of stuff, whatever you like. Anyway, thanks for being here, and we'll get started pretty soon. Just waiting for some people to pop in here. And we're just noodling around. I don't know if, hopefully you guys recognize it's called You Don't Know What Love Is. Mike Quintala, how's it going? How's it going? Philip and Port, hopefully I'm pronouncing that closely. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. All right, well I guess nobody's really that talkative at the moment, so I'm going to just start playing, I guess. So, oh, I do have a question. Okay, good. Jesse, can you talk briefly about playing with the thumb? Yeah, I mean, I just, watched, obviously, Wes, of course, but I also watched the way George plays, especially when he's like in a real casual setting. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube of him just hanging out. And I don't know if you guys have ever checked out the Brazilian guitar player Peter Farrell, who's really got George's right hand thing together. But they hang out a lot, and sometimes I'll see he's got pictures and video of those just hanging out. Sometimes just like on a couch with an acoustic guitar. So some of what you're seeing now is just me kind of looking at that a lot and kind of stealing it. But when I was younger, I used to play my scales and stuff in octaves, and I would play scales with my thumb too, just for practice. I never developed it anywhere near people who do it well, and all I only do is downstrokes, so I don't really have any kind of chops on it. But I really like it sometimes for chord melody. But for me, like I said, it's all downstrokes, and it's all coming from thumb. I've had a bunch of students who somehow find themselves doing it more from the arm, like a pick. But I don't think that's the way to go. is look at Wes Montgomery, you know, for that answer. But that's how I think about it. Anyway, thanks for being here. I'm gonna, I guess I'll just play. Because like I said, things are a little quiet right now. So I'm gonna jump over to Ableton Live. I want to play that tune I just kind of noodled through. Which is, what is this? Not as what is this thing called love? Is you don't know what love is. All right, so here comes the accompaniment. Okay, you don't know what love is. Okay, let me catch up on some comments. Let's see. Hello, Ton in Mexico, 36251. Barry, do you have a specific system for visualizing chord tones within a scale? I don't see this arpeggios, I just see the chord. So if I was playing F minor like we just were, you know, wherever I have my chord form, I have scales as well. So I can clearly see. I'm always seeing the chord forms, which helps me identify chord tones. Let's see. Ton is asking me about, could you talk a little bit about how you use the Ableton Live for practice? Just like I'm doing right now. It's exactly what I'm doing right now, except I don't let anybody watch me. That's the only difference. But yeah, I just record myself comping. I use it as anytime I'm, you know, working on any kind of music, to be honest with you. Even if it's other people's music, I'll just comp the changes in there just so I have a good reference point. But that's really it. And it's not a Novation. I did have the Novation Launchpad for a while, but Ableton gave educators a really fantastic price on their thing called Push, which is a much more advanced piece of hardware. So I ended up getting that, and that's what you see. Actually, you don't see it right now, but it's right here. So yeah, all I'm doing is pressing a button, in this case, just pressing a button to start recording. And then when I'm at the very last measure of the comping, I press it again, and it just starts playback. That's why it's seamless, as long as I hit the button at the right time. If it doesn't work, it's always user error. But yeah, man, I love it. John June, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I'm enjoying the lessons on your website. Thank you very, very much. you're going to maybe try to remember what I talked about on Cherokee. You played major triads, major thirds apart on the second B flat major chord, B flat, D flat. Yeah, I mean, what you're looking at there is augmented. So it would have been, the augmented scale sounding stuff. And it's a symmetrical sound. So yeah, technically you could play it on anything. But if you really wanted to be specific, although really it's not necessary, any chord that really has a kind of an augmented quality, which you may think, wow, I can't hardly think of any. It's actually almost every single one. If I took this F minor that I just finished playing, once I make it kind of F minor major, there's an augmented triad right there, and that would give me these major triads: E, A flat, and C. So it's a really, really ultra modern kind of a sound, and like the diminished scale, it's symmetrical, and there are only 3 different sets of those triads, because then they'll repeat themselves. Like you have C, A flat, E, then D flat, A, F, then E flat, B, G, and then E. Actually, we're already at the repetition there, so I'd be repeating myself at that point. Where the diminished, it's a similar thing, as you know. Just once you get there, you're beginning the whole repetition all over again. So yeah, it's one of those symmetrical things that works on just about anything. Hey Tony, be good. I got to give you my greeting. Marcos, I'm playing F harmonic minor along with my chromatic harmonic. Okay, good. Yeah, I guess most of it'll sound good. The second chord I'm playing is D minor, though. It would definitely need a D natural for that particular one. Thank you, Cam. Hey, Peter. Hope you guys are doing okay in England. Good to see you. Suresh, I don't know what a dyad is, to be honest with you. If you can explain it to me. Sam, or Cam, I'm sorry, I'm using, on this guitar 12s. That's right. That's whatever the Tomastic gauge is. I'm looking around to see if I have a set laying around. I don't. But it's whatever the Tomastic flat wound, I think it's called the swing set or something like that. So I use 12s on this one and 13s on the other Benedetto. I want to leave these a little bit lighter just so I can get a little bend, if possible, if I need to, during a gig or something like that. Tony's asking if I checked out Roland Prince. I don't think I did, man. I think I might have spaced on that, or maybe I did. I forgot. I'll make a point to do it. Again, I'm sorry about that. Any other questions, you guys? Are you guys hearing everything okay? The levels are all good? Let's see. It's been a long. I have this really cool arrangement. I'm spacing out on it. I've got on Rob Midnight. Let me think about that for a minute. But there was a question about melodic minor. I mean, Marcos, that's a whole hour discussion here. But I will say that there are four modes that we generally use pretty often. The two dominant ones, which is the altered scale and Lydian flat 7, are probably the most widely used dominant sound, I think, in jazz. And then you have the sound of melodic minor on minor 7 flat 5 chords too. I'm trying to remember the name of that mode, but it's the 6th mode of melodic minor. Lydian sharp 2, it's called. I'm sorry, Phrygian. I mean, Locrian sharp 2, which just goes to show you how unimportant knowing the names of them are. But the Locrian sharp 2 is another one. Those are the 3 most common, I would say, because between those 3, you've already covered, you know, your minor 2/5 sound. And the other one is for major 7 sharp 5 chords, which are not as common on standards, obviously, but for this sound, with A flat major 7 sharp 5, for instance, F melodic. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. My air conditioning just kicked in. It's a little loud in here. Oh, good. Maybe your comping level needs to volume. Okay, that's the kind of help I need. No, Marcos. No. 4th mode of melodic minor on dominant chords like this: natural 13, sharp 11, natural 9. 4th mode of melodic minor, which would be in this case the parent scale would be A melodic minor. And on altered dominant chords, the altered scale. And you can find that a half step higher than the root of the chord. G altered, A flat melodic minor. Yeah, I don't really use the 5th mode of melodic minor actually ever. I use the, as I said earlier, 4th, 7th, 6th, and 3rd. I really thought about that until now. Is the air conditioning bothering you guys? Is it because it's a little loud? The vent is right behind me. Let's see, what's another tune? Oh yeah, somebody requested around midnight. I'm spacing out on my arrangement. Saying melodic minor with a lot of chromaticism. Yeah, I mean, talking about that a lot last one of these a few days ago, which is to say, yeah, you know, we're talking about chord scales, but you know, we're not just like with the major scale. You know, jazz musicians were using lots and lots of chromaticism to create. Really, I think it's to create even amounts of note lines, meaning that major scale and all its modes are 7 notes. So if you just played it straight, it would offset itself by an 8th note because it's only 7 notes long. So by using chromaticism, Like I would say that's the C major scale. I'm looking at my microphone instead of the camera. I would say that it's the C major scale, but it's loaded with chromaticism, and that's, I think, the dilemma that a lot of people who are studying jazz face, is that you get somebody like me who's saying fifth mode of melodic minor or whatever, and you just assume, okay, well, that should work, and it does work, but again, there's a dialect within that scale, because not to go off on a tangent, but if you were a country musician and you were playing that's C major too, it's just that those guys, they have their own set of vocabulary and chromaticism in their stuff. It's still just different, so you have to either lift lines off of recordings, which is the way I went about it, or just find some, if you're stuck on time, just find some books that have a bunch of lines in them. But I think the middle ground for that, because I know not everybody is devoting their life to this, and it's you have only a certain amount of time. For me, I think the best middle ground would be to get a transcription book and make sure you're playing along with the original recordings. You miss out on the actual ear training part of it, but at least you're getting the lines from the sources, plus you're picking up time, feel, nuance, groove, all the things that are really, really important. But I wouldn't do it any less efficiently than that, that's for sure. So, Tom, can you talk about odd meter playing, practicing? The guys that know me, I don't really play odd meters much. I do it at UNF with my students when we're practicing, getting it together. I have found, with the little bit that I have done, like everything else, the more you do it, the more comfortable it gets. So we would be practicing tunes like, it's stuff like in 7, so we, 1, 2, 3, 1. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 1. Let's see. 1, 2. I'm forgetting sound. Let's at least get this right, so that it's not embarrassing on the videotape. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and just obviously I'm subdividing it exactly to make it easier on myself, but after a while you start feeling it just like you would any other thing that you do with some regularity, But I am not the guy to ask about that, for sure. There are many, many guitar players, musicians who are much more comfortable than I am in just things like 7 and 5, for instance. But the guitar audio is a little distorted in the mids and low tones. Let me take a look at that. All right, I'll back off the overall volume here. Let's see. Yeah, I appreciate that, by the way. Let me know if that's better. I just lowered the volume of the microphone here. Chu, how's it going? Port, could you explain what exactly you play over changes? No, I cannot do that now. It would take me a lifetime. It depends on a given chord, and it's not just the chord, it's where the chord is going, which really even dictates further chord scale relationships. But if you're at this place, you need to just devote some time to just studying some rudimentary just music theory. Learn the modes of the major scale, then move on to the modes of the melodic minor scale. Before I could answer a question like that for you, that would be helpful. Peter, still having difficulty in ad-libbing on standard chord melody, hearing chord tones and resolving. Yeah, I could certainly tell you what I do, Peter, and again, when I read it the way you have presented it to me, it makes me immediately think that what the issue you may be having is that you are thinking about stuff like that. Just don't think about stuff like that. Like if I were doing let's go to a different tune. I could do the same tune, I guess. So there's a little break where I might have filled it, I might not have, but just playing, you know, fragments of lines and shapes and melodic ideas that are you know, coming into my ear. I'm not thinking about whether I'm going to hit the third or seventh or any of that kind of stuff. And I think the sooner you can stop thinking in terms of that, the more freed up you will be. Because there are sometimes that note wouldn't make sense at a particular point in your line. And it gets really obvious sometimes when people are really going out of their way to try to hit a third or a seventh on a chord, because you can hear the whole disruption of the flow of things. It's not necessary. As a matter of fact, to make that point a little further, even if I did, like if I were to look at all those chord scales, it would be F minor. On the D altered chord, it would be E flat melodic minor. On the G minor 7 flat 5, it would be B flat melodic minor. And C7, it would be D flat melodic minor. As you can imagine, it's a lot of stuff to think about. And sure, if I'm practicing, I might just do that, you know, like run through the sounds. So that's all the modes I just mentioned to you. But if I'm playing a solo, you know, I might just do. So in that example, the only chord I really addressed chord scale wise was at C7 at the very end when I did. And with that one I actually played harmonic minor. But the rest of it was just blues. So it's the same thing when you're doing fills in the middle of like a chord melody or something like that. It may not require you to have to be so specific on outlining chord changes. And I think the reason I'm saying so much about this is because it's just, you know, whether you're doing chord melody or whether you're playing a solo like I'm just demonstrating, you know, we get so caught up in all the whole chord scale relationship stuff. It's fine to let 50% of them, 60% of them go and just play melodically, you know. If you listen to any of the, I know you guys have, you listen to Wes, listen to Coltrane, listen to Charlie Parker, listen to any of them, and they do this expertly, where they just know how to strike this perfect balance between being melodic and then playing stuff that you can tell they've practiced, because those same lines will show up in solo after solo after solo. Sometimes in the same tune, you'll hear them play the same lick. Greene is a perfect example of that, where in a lot of cases he is relying on one or two phrases for lick material, you know, but the rest of it is so killing melodically that it's just, like I said, has struck a perfect balance. So don't get, my advice then is just don't get so caught up in it, and please don't think of it in terms of that. Just sing a melody, man. If you get doo-da, boo-da, just sing something and find it on your instrument, you know, like I just did there. And don't get caught up in whether or not you're addressing the chord. I know I spoke about that way too long. Sorry about that. Tony, be good. Do you think Lenny Bro could have developed more? Yeah, man. I'm trying to develop right now. I think we all are. I don't think any artist could put the brakes on that and would wake up one morning and just say, I'm totally satisfied. I would feel the same way like all these giants whose lives ended way too soon. You know, Charlie Parker, Clifford Brown, all of them, yeah. Yeah, shame. Is it Antar Blue? How are you, man? Good to see you again. Is there a difference between a chord scale and a mode? I don't know, man. I mean, it's just semantics. It's just language. I think of them as the same thing. I think of them the same way. It's just a linear series of notes. So no, for me, I don't see any difference. When you learn bebop heads, do you generally learn them in 2 octaves? That's a good question. It depends. I mean, some of them have such a drastic, not drastic, but such a large range that it really kind of be impossible in a lot of cases to handle them that way. But I do love the way that Wes Montgomery plays most of the melodies an octave lower than they're written, you know, as if they were written, like if he was looking at a piece of music. I know that's not the case, but I'm just saying, where you would read it as a guitar player and not take things up an octave. Like even the tune I'm playing now, he would have. Without a doubt, he would have been down there. It's just that it's such. You definitely start competing with the bass, and it gets to a register that's really challenging. But for a guy like him, had such a sound, such a punctuated sound with his thumb, that just cut through. But a lot of us will play things up higher because it's much easier for them to get to cut through. But like a melody like, there's no way you could play that in another octave. Just couldn't. I mean, that's almost the entire range of the guitar. That's that whole position there. So all I would have is just from here, up to here. It wouldn't be possible. That's a really good question. I've never had that question before. Do you emphasize the upbeat in your eighth note lines? I think yes, but yes for sure, because that's just the way that the guys that I liked to played eighth notes. Charlie Parker or Clifford Brown, real articulate kind of eighth note players that I really admire. Coltrane, Sonny Rollins, Sonny Stitt, Cannonball Adderley is another one. Is monstrous at that. But yeah, if you're even the Donna Lee. I was exaggerating that, but any it's a combination of that, and also, as you can hear, playing things not necessarily ghosted, but much quieter. So the line has a lot of contour to it. It's not just da 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 da. And one exercise I give students to practice is just make believe it's playing a tune like Donna Lee, but just play one note. That would have been a triplet in there, but I couldn't do that. But you get the idea. I'm singing Donna Lee in my head, playing all the rhythms just on one note, just so I can practice right hand technique and how to emphasize those notes. But there's no magic formula. I can't tell you accent the end of 3 and measure 1, and obviously it would be silly. You just have to listen and play along with those recordings as much as you can, so that becomes internalized and becomes something you don't ever have to think about. Let's see. Thank you, Michael. Oh, Peter, so the stream is not going that great? According to me, it looks like it's pretty good. Let me just check something out here. May 15th, 2:08. Oh yeah, I see it. It is bad. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know why. Shit. Yeah, I'm getting a message that it is bad too. Do you guys want me to continue on? Let me know if you want me to stop, if it's just too difficult to hang on with. That really sucks too, because yeah, I don't know why it would be running badly. Anyway, all right. Regarding blues, how outside can we go if it's strictly 1-4-5 jazz blues? I shouldn't be reading this to myself. I'm reading this message from Russ Stuck. I don't know if I'm saying that right. How outside can we go if it's strictly 1-4-5? I mean, I don't necessarily. If you're in a situation like that, what I'm thinking to myself is, are you playing in a jazz situation? I know you're saying not jazz. Well, you are saying not jazz blues. I think stylistically it would be slightly unusual, but I mean, just go for it. I don't want to stifle your creativity, but any chord progression you could be modifying and taking it outside. It's just a matter of knowing when, not when to come back in, but at least being able to do that, in other words, when you step outside, there should be some sort of direction where it's taking, where you're getting back to an original chord in the song. After that, it just becomes so outside that it's hard for anybody to recognize, you know, what's going on. So even though I do that an awful lot, I definitely try to do it just in moments and try to get back to the original chord sounds, which in my opinion makes it more effective anyway, because you really hear the difference between the outside and inside. But man, it just depends on the situation and what's going on. You know, it may work great. I don't know. Aaron, my teacher Abe Alum. Abe's such a great guitar player. He's a former student. Please tell him I say hi. Talks about the importance of transcribing. I still find it difficult to do. Yeah, I mean, I know it is probably one of the hardest things to do, but it's the most rewarding. All I would tell you is just to, you know, start just with intervals. You know, play the solo. Just listen to the first 2 notes and sing them back. Play them on your instrument and just continue on in that manner, you know, until you can start hearing phrases, 4 notes at a time, 8 notes at a time, you know, full phrases at a time. Just keep on developing your ear. But when I say it's the most rewarding, I don't mean it's the most satisfying. I mean it's the most rewarding as far as the results you're going to get as an improviser. I mean, in all honesty, if somebody would pose the question, if you only could do one thing, you know, practice scales, practice arpeggios, et cetera, I would always say just learning solos off of recordings would be more beneficial than anything that you could ever do. You show a difference in emphasizing the downbeats with the 8s. Like, I think I kind of did that. Here's a B flat 7 chord. It's that, you know, it's ingrained in my head. I mean, there's no way I'm gonna not be able to do that, because it would be as if I got up one morning and forgot how to walk. You know, it's just so ingrained. But if you're gonna, rather than listen to me, go put on a Clifford Brown record or a Cannonball Adderley. You know, some of those powerful 8th note swinging musicians ever. Let's see. Thanks, Matthew. Okay, good. I'm glad the streaming is totally be good. Yeah, don't stop. I feel like I'm watching a porno now. Let's see. Okay, good. Thank you guys for letting me know the stream is fine. Some reduce all chords in a tune to, you got a dollar sign here or whatever that is. No, Antar, I don't. I mean, it depends, man. It depends. Like on a standard tune, when it's just dealing with major 2/5s, minor 2/5, secondary dominance, and the occasional unusual, dominant chord, it's not necessary to do that. But like on a modern tune, yeah, sometimes I'll try to find like a key center. You'll see all these chords that look so unrelated to each other, you know, but they really are part of the same sound. Like I'll try to just make something up. Like for instance, if I had D7 sharp 9, and the next chord was A flat sus, and then the chord after that was G flat major 7. Rather than thinking of all these different chord scales, I could just play E flat minor over all of that. So in that regard, I do that. Oh yes, James Shackelford, thank you for that super chat, $5. That's awesome, man. I really do appreciate it. But James is asking, what tone do you hear when you listen to Lee Morgan or Blue Mitchell? Have you ever heard those? Yeah, I've heard. Of course, I've heard of those guys. But Blue Mitchell, not as much as Lee Morgan, because Lee Morgan's all over that 1950s hard bop stuff that I just love. So what you mean? I don't know what you mean when you say, what tone do you hear? Those guys, just like as far as eighth note phrasing, if that's what we're talking about, I loved it. It's my favorite period of jazz where it's more relaxed than the bebop era where, you know, the tempos are always so fast and the precision of the eighth notes was really more kind of on top of the beat. I love the way the hard bop guys combined blues, which generally has a laid back kind of a feel, with the bebop vocabulary. You know, a guy like Lee Morgan was one of the absolute greatest at it. So I hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, man, yeah, I could listen to Lee Morgan all day long. Let's see. Okay, maybe Peter, maybe it's on your end, and I guess everybody else seems to be doing okay. Thanks for being here. C. Keaton, any tips on amps that have enough volume for an open jam session? Won't break my back. It's funny. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't recommend carrying a Fender Twin around to a jam session anymore. I mean, I've got the amp I have. I've got, you know, a few. All of them are all solid state, and they're all very, very powerful. You know, I've got the Acoustic Image Claris series of amps, which is, I mean, none of this stuff I'm telling you guys about is cheap. You know, you're definitely paying for the quality. But I just did an organ trio gig this past weekend that was loud as hell. You know, the guy brings out a Leslie, and I brought this guitar. The other Benedetto would definitely be feeding back. That's how loud it is. But even with that amp, I had it, you know, almost both the master volume and just the regular gain, almost to the highest it can go, and it doesn't distort at all. It's just loud, you know, beautiful, clean guitar sound. That's the Acoustic Image stuff, and it's the same thing with the Benedetto amps. I've got two of those also. One of them which I keep at my office at UNF, and one I keep here at home. But it's the same thing. It's a lot of power that packed into a little amplifier. I don't know how Henriksen's amps do. I played them like on gigs when there was already an amp there for me to play. But not too long ago, I had two events, and both the places had these butt amps, these little tiny things. They were amazing. I'm not saying that I'll cut a large live jam session, but man, I wouldn't be surprised if it did. It was absolutely amazing, and it's so tiny. I think it's like a perfect 5-inch cube is the dimensions of the thing. Maybe a little bigger than that, but not much. I was blown away by it. I was absolutely blown away by it. Dominic is writing to me in French saying, always a pleasure to hear you. Your sound is incredible. Merci beaucoup pour ça. Dominique. John Browning, my Fender Acoustasonic is light and... Yeah, I don't know that amp, but the boutique amps, I'm sure, are not the only guys who are trying to accommodate that. Yeah, I mean, I know my demographic here. This might not be you guys, but I know who's watching my videos and buying my lessons and stuff like that. It's guys like, you know, my age, you know, within a 10-year or, you know, approximately 10-year on either side of it, and none of us are up to carrying amplifiers around anymore. I know that. That's for sure. And I remember when I was in my 20s, just reaching, I was in my car, I had like a Polytone or something in the back seat, and I remember just reaching around to grab it and pull it onto my front seat for whatever reason, and I just remember feeling like this amazing amount of pain. It'll come back and creep up on me, just that one event, you know, so, but nowadays, I'm with you. I do not want to carry an amplifier. Aaron, I want to study at UNF one day. What should I be able to do before I audition? Well, obviously, you know, learn tunes. Let me put it this way. I'm going to start this whole thing over again. When we audition you guys at UNF, we're looking for musicians. So the first thing we'll ask you to do basically is just to kind of play some scales and chord voicings. And really, this is just a way to get you relaxed, because we're mostly interested in how you play. And when we say play, we're interested in, you know, musicianship, like your time feel, the sound you get, how expressive you are. And even a musician that comes in just knowing the blues scale, we usually are pretty good at picking out, who the musicians are. One thing that has been lacking, like for the longest time, is reading. And so if you could work on your sight reading as much as you possibly can before auditioning, that would really be beneficial. And it'll help your audition, but it'll also make your life at a university much, much easier when you're able to read well. Excuse me. So yeah, man, play as much as you can with people. Like I've been saying, learn solos off of recordings, and but get your reading together. But if you want to email me personally, I'll send you the specific requirements for audition. I'd be more than happy to do that. Just email me at barry@barrygreene.com and I'll send that to you. The DV Mark range of amps, as Philip is saying, is really good too. As a matter of fact, Danny Gottlieb, who's the drummer, you guys all know him from Pat Metheny's band back in the 70s, but Danny is also the drum professor at UNF. And he did a few tours and brought back, as payment for whatever he was doing, they gave him a bass amp and a guitar amp, and I have one of them in my office, which really does sound great. It's got 2 12s, but it's not heavy. It's not heavy. As a matter of fact, anytime I have kind of a fusion-esque kind of a gig, I'll bring that with me because it sounds great and it's really not that bad. Learning private, opera vav. Okay, right now, just want to ask, opera vav right now, just want to ask, why do some prefer to play opera vav using blues progressions? Is that, just let me know if it's that one. So that is just regular blues. That is just regular blues. And when I say regular, I mean just jazz blues. The only thing that's really being dictated by the melody is that sound. Like, sorry. That. The rest of it is really very diatonic, really just regular straight up F blues. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll play that right now. I'm just missing that phrase not coming into my ear. I'm going to go to Ableton Live. I haven't played anything in a while, so let's play some blues. Let's try to get a tempo there. A little slower. That's a good tempo. You guys got me thinking about playing different octaves, so I think I'll play that one on a lower octave. All right, so here comes accompanying on opera vav, Charlie Parker. As well as I thought I did. Anyway, some blues. Let's see. Antar blues, talk about just schlepping a piano. Lately I've been using these Plek picks, 1.5 millimeters. I don't know if you can see that. I'm playing with the rounded edge of it here, which I like right now. So that's good, Antar Blue. Yeah, that you recognize that for sure. Yeah, it's a great sound. Just starting the tune off with just the tritone sub is cool. Any other jazz drum grooves besides Drum Genius? I mean, those are all so good, and there's so many of them. I have a piece of software called Easy Drummer that I use when I'm working with my DAW software. and they're really, really good, but they're not as good, I don't think. They're still played by a live drummer, and it's just not Roy Haynes. You know, it's these guys that they used to record the drums are really great, but it's just not the same, man. It doesn't feel the same. So I think Drum Genius is one of the greatest things that's come along in a while. I'm gonna shut my AC off because actually I've got it on too cool, and I feel like it's just too loud. Okay. All right. If you guys are still there. 2:32. Yeah, I'm getting yeah, I don't know why I'm getting all these warnings, but if you guys saying the video is good, I'll just trust that. So let's see what else people are saying. Waltz for Debbie. It's not my Matthew. It's not in my repertoire. Sorry, man. Is that it? Is that the song though? I don't have it on my repertoire, man. Quite honestly, man, I don't gig enough these days to have as much tunes in my repertoire as I hate to say as I used to. Got a couple nice things coming up though, but toward the end of the summer, going back to New York, I think I'll be playing the bar next door, and then there's a jazz festival in the Poconos, Delaware, Water Gap, Pennsylvania area, called the Pocono Jazz Fest, which I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I apologize, Matthew, that I don't have that. I remember working on that too with a student not too long ago, but it's not on my repertoire. I'm sorry. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go refresh my own tune list. See what I have here. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of tunes here, that's for sure. Are there any other requests that maybe I might know? Rock and roll, do I ever come out west? No. I mean, I have been. I was just actually in California about a year and a half ago, but I was just on vacation. I went to Napa Valley with my girlfriend, which was awesome. But no, man. But all I need is an invitation, and I'll be there. That's for sure. I could do It Could Happen to You, and I could do Naima, maybe even A Child Is Born. It Could Happen to You, I definitely could do. Let me check out Naima real quick. I could do that. That's a beautiful song, man. I'll do that. I might play it again for you, but I think I'll do a ballad style. Of course, ballad style, but like with there's a really great Elvin Jones drum groove here. like with brushes. Let me just check this out. Yeah, I'll do that. So what I'm going to try to do is I'll just play what I just kind of did now, play through the tune, kind of solo guitar-ish. And then I'll press the record button, and then I'll comp the chords, just one chorus through, and then I'll solo on it. So. Okay, Naima. That's a beautiful song, man. Let me see if I can pick out a few other questions here. I could do road song. I think this is an important question right here. Not that the other ones aren't, but this really pokes out at me. Best until music, something like that. Do you use software for transcribing? I don't. We didn't have it back in the 80s when I was doing it. And I don't think it's a great idea. I just don't. I mean, I think that you're doing a disservice to your ears. This is just a gut feeling. I don't have any science to prove any of this. It's just a feeling that, because what makes me feel that way is that when I was first doing it, the transcription stuff, you know, I picked a couple of Charlie Parker solos that I had done, and maybe some time had passed, 6 months, 9 months, who knows. And I went back and listened to that same stuff, and I started hearing things that I had missed the first time around. And that would happen a bunch of times, where I would do things 2 or 3 times, or at least go back, and stuff that I was unable to hear. Sometimes it was just like notes that were kind of ghosted, but a lot of times it was just like the faster stuff that I wasn't really able to hear. As time went on, I was able to, and I don't know if I would have had the same results if I used a transcription tool that would slow down things for me and never develop the ability to hear fast phrases. So, you know, if I were 20-something now, in where we are technology-wise, and that stuff was available, I probably would have used it, you know. But maybe there is some benefits to growing up in a time when we didn't have computers, or anything that we're experiencing right now. The picks I'm using, thank you for the compliment. The picks I'm using they're just Plek. I think it's the name of it. If you guys could help them out, I know you probably know this. Oh yeah, it says D'Andrea Pro Plek. D'Andrea, 1.5 millimeter. Okay, let's see if this. Thanks, John, for your comments too. You change your style when playing tunes from different decades, eras. Not so much decades, eras, but vibe for sure. You know, a tune like that definitely would treat differently than something else. More, yeah, I don't think it's by time era. It's more just the vibe of the tune. Thank you for all those nice comments about that Naima tune. Playing that kind of tempo is a good challenge too, by the way. You know, a lot of people think, you know, working on fast tempos is the bigger challenge, but that was 63 beats a minute. It's hard to subdivide. You know, 8th notes, 16th notes are even harder to make those feel good at those kind of tempos. All right. So I think I'm getting to the point where I'm going to call it. I'm trying to see how long. We have it online almost an hour and 20 minutes here. Thank you for the compliment about the tone, because kind of not going back and forth, but I've been, as you guys can probably tell, because I'm using it a lot. I'm just loving this guitar. You know, I've got the Bravo sitting right off to the right of me, and I was going to use that today. I'm trying to get a real level of comfort with this, like I do have on the other instrument, which I've been playing for so long. It's just, I know it so well. There's, it feels slightly different. I'm not talking about, like, somebody was asking me about the neck width, and I thought it's exactly the same as that one, but it may not be. But to me, it feels the same. But it still feels different, I think, from here, just because, you know, there's no pick guard. It just feels slightly different in my right hand. Thanks, Greg. Back to life. Back to life here. There were a couple of other requests. Maybe let's play one more tune. Somebody requested It Could Happen to You. That's one I always like to play. And let me thank again James Shackelford for doing that super chat thing, sending me $5. That was really, really cool of you, man. I appreciate that a lot. Okay, so It Could Happen to You. Let me jump back over to Ableton Live. Delete the Naima comping I just did. And let's get a tempo for this. So. So that's 198. So here's a couple of choruses of comping, and then into the solo. Okay, it can happen to you. Sorry, I screwed up the ending. Anyway. Okay. I had too many catches. To be honest with you, I had YouTube up instead of Ableton Live in the forefront. So I was hitting the space bar. I wasn't doing anything. All right. I think that'll do it for me, you guys. So I've been here an hour and a half. Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate all of you guys being here. I'm on summer break from UNF, so that's why I have a lot of time. I'm going to be working on a new lesson I think I'm going to start tomorrow on Origin. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. And I'll try to do more of these live things now that I do have a much more spare time. All right, well, thanks again, and I'll see you guys again soon.